Okay, the next question is from Adrian Marquez, and it says, any considerations regarding being a pawn of the, and he says industrial military conflicts, and maybe he means military industrial complex. I'm not sure, but we'll go with it. So again, any considerations regarding being a pawn of the industrial military conflicts to serve the economic interests of U.S. corporations? Would he do it all over again? The next part of the question is, what's next? Make up another excuse, invade an African nation for resources. So, of course, when you are serving in the U.S. military, you are serving, at least you should be serving, the interests of the United States of America. Absolutely. And embedded in those interests, there are absolutely the economic interests of American corporations. And obviously, the economic power of the United States is a key component of America's power and influence in the world. And so, yeah, when you are a military member, you could be considered a pawn in the military machine. But the fact of the matter is, I'm actually honored to have served as a so-called pawn in that system. And I will tell you this, and I've said this before, America is far from perfect. And we have committed some horrors in our history. And even today, we make mistakes in the world. But when you travel the world and you see how much of the rest of the world lives, how much they live in disarray, and you see the oppression, and you see the poverty, and you see the corruption, and you see the abject violations of basic human rights, then you realize how blessed or lucky or maybe even spoiled we are to live in America. And just to start, let's start with potable tap water, drinking water. We just, in America, we just have that here. We have it everywhere. Any home, any apartment, even the prisons. You turn on the tap and you get good, clean, disease-free drinking water. And that is not the norm in the rest of the world. And on top of that, we have power. Got electricity going into just about every home. That means just about every home has heat in the wintertime, and they have air conditioning in the summertime. And let's just take it a little bit further. What about the access to the internet? The access to the internet here is widespread. There's something like 70% of the adults in America have a smartphone. 70%. So 70%. So you can gain access to knowledge here, unlike any other time in human history. And our healthcare system, I know it's not perfect, but I'll tell you what, if you view our healthcare system from a third world hospital, which often don't even have the simplest of medical gear, you'd realize it might not be perfect, but it's pretty damn good. And then beyond that, it's just like, let's look at the food that's available. Never mind starvation and malnutrition. Our issue in America is actually too much food. And much of the world still has people literally starving to death. And America offers an amazing opportunity to build and to create and to be what you want to be and to be who you want to be. Unlike anywhere else in the world, the ability to pursue happiness. Happiness. And all those things, all of it, is possible because of the unbridled individual freedom that America offers. And you know what else? It's also possible because of industry. Because of the incredible corporations and businesses and individuals. Because of people that took advantage of that freedom and worked their asses off to build this nation. So, to have been a pawn in that, to have done my small share of work to allow this beacon of light and of hope and of freedom to continue, I'm honored that I had the chance. And would I do it all again? You're damn right I would, without question. And then there's another piece to this question from Mr. Marquez. It says, what's next? Make up another excuse, invade an African country or an African nation for resources. Well, luckily, we have plenty of resources in our own nation, and luckily for the rest of the world, we have used those resources over and over and over again, not to take, but to give. To give freedom to the slaves in our own country, to defeat and destroy the brutal Nazi regime in Germany and free the people of France and much of Europe. We used our resources to defeat Imperial Japan, who was rampaging through Asia, invading and enslaving people with no sign of stopping. We used our resources to try and stop the spread of communism in Asia. And remember that when I'm talking about resources, I'm not just talking about oil and steel and wood. I'm talking about blood. I'm talking about hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of American men and women that gave their lives in the cause of freedom. And what resources did we take when we paid with our blood? We took nothing. We took no resources from the Germans. We helped them rebuild into an economic superpower. We took no resources from the Japanese. We helped them rebuild into an economic superpower. The Japanese and the Germans both have some of the highest standards of living in the world. We took nothing from Korea or Vietnam. And we took nothing from Afghanistan and even Iraq. We took nothing. And we only gave. And we continue to give. In 2014, the U.S. government gave $43 billion in foreign aid. And then there was another $25 billion on top of that from America, from religious organizations and universities and colleges and private voluntary organizations and even the big American corporations. Now, like I said, that doesn't mean that America's perfect. Far from it. Far from it. And our past is checkered with horrible mistakes that we've made as a nation. We've caused massive hardships and incredible suffering. But we also evolved. And we have become a benevolent nation, a good nation. And I know this because I saw it with my own two eyes. I saw the people of Iraq who wanted freedom from the tyranny of Saddam Hussein, who then wanted protection from the violent terrorist extremists, who cheered us in the streets when we killed insurgents, and who wept when we left them. And, unfortunately, who were murdered when we abandoned them because of the politics in our own country. They wanted us in Iraq. The people of Iraq, the normal citizens, they wanted our protection and they wanted our positivity. And they wanted freedom. Like much of the world does. And I was honored to have done my small part to provide the opportunity for freedom around the world and to protect that precious freedom, which is all too often taken for granted here at home. Now, the next question.